Hello and welcome to the special Christmas episode Come Draw With Me. Today I'm going to be drawing ERI from My Hero Academia. All the stuff you need to use is listed in the description box below. So I'm going to start by just using a pencil to draw a circle in the middle of the paper, which will be used to draw the outline of the face. The circle should be about 2/3 the way up the paper. And at this point, it's probably a good idea just to draw the circle quite lightly so you don't see it much through the paper. Here I've gone a bit heavy-handed with it. To draw the cheek line, you just need to draw two kind of curved lines into a point at the bottom like I've done there. You can slow the video down if I'm going a bit too fast for you. So next I'm going to start drawing in the fur at the top of her dress. So to do that, I'm just using my pencil to make a few wave-like lines in a diameter about just bigger than the circle itself. And I'm going to do the same at the top there for the Santa hat. Just make sure the lines look a bit more bunched up than waves. So you want to kind of like overlap them a little bit there. I know it might be a bit difficult to see because of the pencil, but I tried to draw put as much pressure on as I can on the pencil. Try and make it a bit easier here. I've just put the image at the bottom right hand corner of the screen there as well. To draw the hat, I've literally just drawn a trapezium shape with the right hand side not going all the way up, and then from there I've kind of connected the round fur at the bottom of the hat to the trapezium at the top. And then I'm just going to draw a triangle for her horn on the top of her head there as well, of her forehead, sorry. And then after that I'm just going to start to pencil in the hair a little bit. In manga, the hair is usually done in kind of clumps, so as you can see there, I've done a few strands of hair as one clump coming down. So what you want to do for that is just draw a thick strand of hair in a wavy line and then add a few lines into that clump to kind of show other strands of hair. I'm going to do a few that overlap each other to kind of give that effect of hair blowing or a bit of a messy look, and I'm going to do the same on the other side as well. Make sure you bring it down into kind of a straight, well, a diagonal kind of line, because it's not, her hair it doesn't come into a point, it comes into like a diagonal kind of slanted line, so make sure you do that as well. So now I'm just drawing two straight lines about halfway or two-thirds the way up the face, and they're going to act as my eye lines. And using as guidelines, I'm just going to start to add in the top kind of lash lines, and then a smaller bottom line, and make sure the top lash line comes into kind of a point at the end as well, just to add that effect of more lashes and a clump of lashes in the corner. Just to make sure they look the same, make sure you shade them both in, and then add a kind of brow line at the top there as well. That goes about a third of the way along the top line of the eye line. And then I'm just going to add the mouth as well. So for the mouth, you just need to draw a little circle that she's going to be, is going to be a surprise kind of expression. And two eyebrows at the top there are going to be quite high as she's quite surprised in this drawing. And then after that I'm just going to add a few details to the top of the fur there, which are going to be two fur balls hanging off it and a little kind of tie at the top there as well. And then now I'm just going to add in the arms a little bit and the hands, as you can see in a picture but at the bottom she's wearing gloves. I kind of struggle drawing hands, so this might not be the best pair, but I'm going to try. Again, if I'm going too fast, please pause the video or try and slow it down. I do apologise, but I kind of sped up the video as I didn't want my video to be too long. To draw the hands, I literally just drew the gloves as two boxes first, and then I added four fingers, as you can see there, and a little thumb overlapping the four fingers, about a third of the way across. As you can see, I am rubbing and redrawing it, as it's difficult to get the proportions right here. And I'm just going to connect the gloves to the arms and to the shoulders by drawing kind of a rounded triangular shaped line there as well. Next, to kind of get the shape of the dress right, I looked at where her shoulders would go and kind of started drawing the dress outwards from there. So you kind of see me in a minute draw that, and I didn't like the way it turned out first, so I kind of rubbed it out and then redrew it as well. But right now I'm still kind of trying to draw the hands and connect it to the hands to the shoulders and the arms. And then, as you can see there, I just drew a line across to make sure the shoulders are both in the right place. And now I'm just drawing my first attempt at the dress. This attempt I didn't really like, as I said before, it kind of looks a bit too wide, so I kind of rubbed it out and tried to draw it more from the shoulder line. So I started it vertically down from where the shoulders start, and it kind of goes out into a kind of a flowy kind of dress. So that's all been penciled. The next portion of the video will be me outlining the drawing with a micron 0.8. It might be easier to use a thinner micron for this part or for the smaller details, but I really like the 0.8, so I use that one. If this is your first time outlining or drawing, make sure you take it slow so you don't make any mistakes when curving around the edges and things. Kinda tried to draw this drawing in my own kind of style as opposed to My Hero Academia style, as My Hero Academia tends to be more kind of rigid and pointy, but this is a lot rounder and more curved, but I still think it turned out okay. When drawing the eyebrows, remember to leave a gap between the lines so you have a little bit of space to colour in the same colour as the hair. I know it can be daunting to outline a drawing, but remember, if you get something wrong, you can always try and redo it by getting a bit of a white paint marker and just going over the top of it. I've done that a couple of times in a few different drawings, but yeah, the key here is to just take it slow and kind of let your hand glide over the paper, which is why I think it's important to use something like Bristol board if you're a beginner, because the pen kind of glides over the paper more easily. You don't get stuck in like bumps and grooves and things. It's especially important with the hair as well, because the hair's quite wavy, and if you have bumpy paper, the pen will get stuck in the bumps and you won't be able to get the waves right. I also find that if you're a beginner, a thicker pen tends to look better as well, as you can't really notice mistakes as much. But for the eyes, it's probably best to use a 0.5 tip if you've got one. So yeah, just making sure the pen flows nicely on the paper, I think, is the most important thing here to get your drawing looking correct. I kind of hate that you can see my nose in the video there as well, so big rip to that. So while I do this, I'm just going to play some music by my friend Edo Beats. Go check him out if you like lo-fi and Japanese trap music. Quick point about inking the hands before I do it. Make sure you don't kind of connect all the finger lines together. So like, you know, the lines that start at the knuckle and make their way down kind of the middle of the finger. Try not to connect all four of those together, as it won't really look like a hand then. So now I'm going to move on to the colouring. I've got a selection of Tombows there, and I'm going to start by just putting a lighter red colour onto the hat first. It's usually best to start with lighter colours and then build darker colours on top of that. So I'm just going to colour this whole hat in light red, and then I'm going to get my darker red Tombow out and kind of add a bit of shading, which you'll see in a couple of seconds. So for the shading, I've just kind of used side to side kind of motions on with my brush pen, just to get a kind of more abstract and less clean look to the shading. After that, I'm just going to get a light grey and just do a few kind of circly movements in the where the fur is. Kind of like just use some circular motions with the light grey pen to fill in the white space there to make it look a little bit more detailed. Next, I've got a red micron 0.5. I've just tested it in a corner there, and I just use it to draw a few blush marks on her face. And then with my peach super tip, I'm just kind of adding a bit of shading to the face. So I'm just shading underneath the hat, just around the eyes and down one side of her face as well. So just a relatively small amount of shading I think is necessary here, and just kind of like thin lines, so press very lightly with the super tip. And then I've got a Tombow out there in an ivory colour, and I'm just lightly colouring in her face, just with one stroke for each part of the face. Make sure you don't keep going over it, as because it's a Tombow, it'll make the shade darker. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of pink to her mouth there to show that it's not lip, it's actually a mouth and her teeth there as well. And next, just a few more kind of details on her fur again with those circular movements with a light grey pen. And I'm just going to do that to all the fur pieces there. just to make sure I don't smudge any more colour. So now I'm just going to start colouring the sleeves and the dress in the same colour I coloured the hat, just to add a bit of consistency to the drawing, and I'll shade it in the same way as well. So I wasn't very careful here, kind of got a bit of red into her hair and stuff there, but it doesn't matter because I've got a white posca that I can clean that up with. So you can see here I'm just colouring in her dress red again, same colour as the hat. Trying my best to kind of keep out of the other parts of the dress so I don't kind of mix up the colours and things. It's a bit easier to use like side to side motions here again, or whichever feels more comfortable to you, I guess. So then after that I'm just going to start to get out my darker red as well, which you'll see in a moment. There we go, getting my darker red out, and I'm just going to use a kind of quick side to side motion again, just to start shading in a little bit and adding a few kind of abstract, kind of messy looking brush marks. I think that adds to the style of the drawing a little bit. So make sure you leave in a bit of a space between the different brush strokes, just to add a bit of gleam in from the lighter red there as well. And I'm going to use my peach super tip again to colour in her gloves, both of her gloves there. And then I'm just going to grab a darker colour and just colour in the bottom of the glove. And that's just a kind of light orange / peachy Mildliner. After that I'm just going to kind of colour in her legs as well there. The way I drew the legs was I kind of just measured out from her shoulders and with my eye, and kind of drew two like diagonal kind of equally spaced lines there for her legs, and then I just coloured it in the same colour as the colour I used to shade. And then because her hair is like an off-white colour of a bluish tint, I kind of went a bit crazy with the blue and just added a few blue tones into her hair there as well. So I've literally just used two different shades of Mildliner in blue, and then I've used a bit of purple at the top there. I should have been warning on the screen in a minute. Because I used too dark a shade of purple, there it is, to do a hair, but I kind of corrected that by using a white paint pen to go over the top of it, so please use a lighter shade of purple. That was to just add a bit of dimension and shade to a hair again. And then after that I've just grabbed a micron again, and I'm just drawing in her pupils. Make sure you kind of leave a space of white there as well for the gleam in her eye, and I'm just using a light red at the top of her eye and a kind of a darker red at the bottom of her eye to match the dress as well, and her eyes are red in a manga too. So after that I'm just going to add a bit of colour to that tie at the top of the dress. There's a little detail there. I'm going to colour it in purple to make it stand out a bit against the dress. And after that I'm just going to touch up a few places that I didn't think felt looked right, and I'm going to use my white Archer and Olive acrylograph pen to kind of just touch up a few errors and things in the drawing. And as a final little note, I'm just going to add the kind of peachy colour to the horn there, and I'm just going to outline the bottom of the gloves as well in like a yellowy colour. And then with that the drawing is completed. If you have recreated this, please drop a picture in the comments. I don't know if you can drop a picture in the comments, but if you can, please do so. Or just drop me a DM on my Instagram, which will be linked on my channel as well. Just as I said before, I'm just touching it with my white acrylograph paint pen here, and just kind of trying to get rid of the purple that's too dark at the top of the head, because I think it does look a bit dark, but I think it looks a bit better now. Yeah, so just let me know what you think in the comments. There's a little bit of a zoom in on the finished piece, and there is the finished piece there as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.